Hello my friends and welcome once more to this Red Gaming Tech video with myself, Marta, where as always I'm here with the latest news from the tech world from the last 24 or so hours as of the 2nd of May. We've got quite a bit to get through, so nestle in, get comfortable and let's get started with a benchmark from Ryzen 3 3100. Now what we have this time around is a benchmark that has once again been found by the reliable Rogame over on Twitter, and of course you can find a link to his tweet linked in the description below this video. So this particular benchmark shows some pretty damn impressive results, as it shows the processor reaching 4.5 GHz on all cores, of course overclocked. Now 4.5 GHz might not sound impressive until you remember that the 3100 is a budget-friendly chip. The base clock of the 3100 is 3.8 GHz and will boost up to 3.9, so this is a 15% boost over the standard performance. Now obviously the big thing that we do not know here is the voltages or the cooler that were used. So we could see some cooling here that you're not going to really see in a home build that made this possible. We just don't know. But we do know, however, that the user that ran this particular benchmark did so on an Asus TUF B40M Pro Gaming, which, according to everything that we've heard, isn't actually that brilliant for hitting high overclocks on an AMD processor. So let's wait and see on this one. Let's wait for more tests. If this was just a one-off, then obviously it was just maybe someone won the Silicon Lottery or something like that. But still, this is very, very impressive. I look forward to seeing more results from the 3100. If it has this kind of beef potentially under the hood, that is damn impressive for a budget-friendly chip. But we're going to move on to something pretty damn interesting now from AMD and Samsung. Now you may remember back in August of last year, back in simpler times when festivals and gigs were still happening. Yes, I'm missing them, why do you ask? Anywho, back then AMD did partner with Samsung, and we're going to be expecting to see RDNA architectures powering future Samsung devices. Now, there's some very interesting rumours that have been reported by the folks over at notebookcheck.net. And according to a poster on the South Korean tech forum Klian, they are basically saying that Samsung and AMD's in-house Radeon-based GPU crushed Qualcomm's Adreno 650 in a GFX bench best. They did various tests, and all of them are pretty damn impressive. So for AMD as the Samsung chip, we see on the Manhattan 3.1 test 181 FPS, on the Aztec Normal 138 FPS, Aztec High 58 FPS, and then for the Adreno 650 we see 123 FPS on Manhattan, 53 FPS on Aztec Normal, and 20 FPS on Aztec High. So just to kind of refresh your memory, for Aztec Normal, we saw 138 FPS from AMD and Samsung's chip and 53 from the Adreno 650, which is pretty insane. Now, obviously, we should take these numbers with a pinch of salt, given that, of course, they did not come from an official source. But if these reports are actually accurate, the upcoming line of Exynos chips from Samsung and AMD could potentially just absolutely demolish Qualcomm's subsequent flagships. Now you may be suspecting that there's a caveat hiding behind all of this, and unfortunately yes, that is the case. It'll be quite some time apparently before we actually see this mobile Radeon chip in action. According once again to the post on the tech forum, apparently there are some issues with the power consumption of the chip, and it's going to take quite some time for the companies to actually iron out all the kinks. So when can we expect this chip to actually see the light of day, I hear you ask? Well, it's most likely going to be a 2021 debut at the absolute earliest, presumably alongside the Galaxy S21 series from Samsung. If these numbers are accurate though, we can probably expect more leaked benchmarks and information to come out about the Exynos chip from AMD and Samsung to come out onto the interwebs. Hopefully we'll see more benchmarks to back these claims up. That would be really, really nice, because frankly these results are extremely impressive, and it would be nice to see AMD's chips being competitive once again on the mobile space, even if it is of course in a collaboration with Samsung. However, we're going to move over now to a very console-focused portion of the video, the first of which is a bit of an update regarding those infamous Last of Us 2 leaks. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard all about this, even if you were steering far, far clear of any actual spoilers like myself. I didn't even look at the forums where they were posted because I just don't really want to risk spoiling myself for The Last of Us Part 2. Really looking forward to that game. However, you may recall that the rumours were at the time that it was a Naughty Dog employee that allegedly leaked the information, and apparently it was over a payment dispute, and this was according to a tweet doing the rounds. However, there has been an update as of today, thanks to an article from gamesindustry.biz, which of course you can find linked below. And according to them, Sony has confirmed that they have identified the individuals responsible for the leaks. However, they have gone on to say that they were not affiliated with Sony or Naughty Dog, as the rumours were stating. Unfortunately, they didn't speculate or go any further into any comments. They said that they were currently investigating and didn't want to discuss further, which is totally fine. I have no doubt that we will see this play out in the courts in some fashion, because Sony is probably going to see this as a direct loss of income, because, well, people may or may not buy the game now because they already know what's going to happen if they have read the leaks, and even if that hasn't had an effect, it's obviously still a major breach for this sort of thing to happen. So, going to be an interesting one for sure, but we're going to move on now to some news regarding both the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of speculation as to the release dates, or release windows, should I say, for both the PS5 and Xbox Series X, as to whether or not the current world situation would actually have an effect on the release date and production and all that sort of thing. You may recall there were rumours flying around some time ago now that we would be seeing a limited release for the PlayStation 5, just due to them not being able to produce as much as normal due to everything that's going on. However, there have been various assurances from various sources that this will not be the case. This was despite predictions from analyst firms back in February and March that we would see a delay of both consoles due to what's going on in the world. However, this was basically pushed aside by Microsoft, and now AMD have joined in to basically say that the consoles will not be delayed due to the current situation. However, I will give you a full statement from the CEO herself, Dr. Lisa Su, and she said in a recent earnings call, quote, "We expect semi-custom revenue to increase in the second quarter and be heavily weighted towards the second half of the year as we ramp production to support the holiday launches of the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X consoles." So, obviously AMD are not going to ramp production just for the fun of it if the consoles are not actually going to come out around then, if they're going to be delayed until, like, I don't know, January or February, just to pull months completely out of thin air. So while, of course, nothing is certain at the moment, I think that's one of the worst things, is all the uncertainty about, everything. But it seems AMD are pretty damn confident, at least at the time of recording, that the PS5 and Xbox Series X launch will go ahead as planned. But the bigger question is, what about the games? And that's actually where we're going to move on to our next topic, as Phil Spencer himself has actually addressed this. And he was talking to CNBC's Squawk Alley on their morning business news program, and he discussed the impact of what's going on the Xbox Series X production. Now, he did say that the production is where they thought it would be, but went on to say that the games are where the really big question mark lies. And he said, quote, "It's an exciting year for us. We're launching the Xbox Series X this year. That drives so much excitement on the teams and the community. Teams are doing a really good job at keeping hardware on track. I'd say the bigger unknown is probably the game production, just being honest. Game production is a large-scale entertainment activity now. You have hundreds of people coming together, building assets, working through creative. On the hardware side, we feel good about our plans. There's obviously some impact on our schedules, but overall we're in line with where we thought we would be. On the game production side, we're learning every day. I still feel good about it, but I also need to make sure that the security and the safety of our teams is the most important thing and not unduly push when things just aren't ready." So this tells us a couple of things. Well, this kind of reinforces what AMD are saying, that the production is pretty much where they'd expect it to be with everything taken into consideration. But as everyone has said, the games is really where the mystery lies. But it does seem to suggest that Microsoft will not be delaying the launch of the console for any game. To be honest, they probably have more than enough already made and ready to go. That just needs like all the red tape to actually get it released to the public and that sort of thing, all the marketing, advertising, etc, 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 to actually have a successful launch. It's the games that are currently in development that are really up for grabs. Games like Cyberpunk 2077, just for example, and Halo Infinite. Obviously, we haven't actually had any real information about that particular game. So, we'll have to wait and see, of course. Even Phil himself is saying that we just don't know. He seems fairly confident, but obviously that confidence could be misplaced, but I'm sure he has way more information than I do. So it's just going to obviously be on a game-by-game basis, of course, but I would be surprised if we don't see a few games postponed to next year, maybe, due to everything that's going on. And speaking of games, we have some very interesting comments about their upcoming Inside Xbox event. Now, obviously, we know that Microsoft are planning a big reveal for May the 7th, where we'll finally see some next-gen games being shown off. Can't wait. Really hope they show off Elden Ring. I'm just dying for any real information about that game, not gonna lie. Anyway, according to the industry insider Shinobi, we're going to see some very, very cool reveals indeed from third-party developers. So this was according to a question he was asked on the Reset Era forums, and he was essentially asked, will we see unannounced games next week? And he just said yes. But that's not all he had to say, thankfully. Apart from the showcase that we're going to be seeing next week, which is going to be for third parties, they are planning a second digital event that is going to be focused on first-party titles, and further, according to Shinobi, the event is going to be a, quote, big blowout for Xbox Game Studios. And he went on to say, quote, I genuinely don't know everything that will be there, to be transparent, but I know of several third parties. Their E3 event is where XGS will get a big blowout. So essentially, we're just going to be seeing all the cool third parties next week, and Microsoft are saving up their huge first party reveals for some other time. But we will also be seeing some unannounced titles at the third party release event, should I say, and of course at the first party one, which is the main thing that Shinobi had to say. So I'm really excited for this. Unannounced third party games. It could literally be anything, of course. It could be the Perfect Dark rumours that we've been hearing so much about. It could be, all sorts of indie studios could be working on stuff. The possibilities are literally endless. I think the main things that this leads to interest, to speculation about, I suppose I should say, is Perfect Dark, which is in itself a rumour. We don't know for sure that it's happening. There could be numerous other remasters, remakes, brand new IPs that are coming that we just don't know, because Microsoft are pretty damn good at keeping things under their hats. For example, the E3 last year when they had Keanu, they kept that completely under wraps. That took everyone by surprise. So I fully expect to see some cool surprises at their reveal event. So we're going to finish up with our final topic for today, which is regarding Nintendo and their usual June Direct. So obviously, Nintendo haven't really said one way or the other if they were planning on doing a Direct event like they normally do at E3. Obviously, E3 isn't taking place this year, but people rightfully assumed that it would be taking place because it's not part of the conference, it's just like a pre-recorded thing that is streamed during E3. Now, according to a report from VentureBeat, Nintendo are going to be delaying their usual Direct broadcast, and this has been corroborated by Eurogamer as well, who have their own sources. Now, according to what Eurogamer have found according to their sources, basically they need more time to actually work on the games for their first parties to reveal during their showcase. Now, this would make perfect sense with everything that's going on. According to VentureBeat's report, Various Japanese companies have struggled with the work from home things that's going on at the moment. It's very different to how they normally operate culturally speaking. So this would kind of make sense, obviously, as well as, you're not going to be as productive when you're working from home in an unfamiliar environment, having to deal with, Zoom meetings, and maybe your internet went out for 2 hours so you couldn't do any work or stuff like that. It always happens. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is true, to be honest. They just need that extra time to make sure that these reveals go off exactly as planned and that the games look amazing. When will we see it? Eurogamer speculates that we're going to be seeing it late in the summer, probably maybe July or August, just to pull a month out of the air. But of course, we just don't know. All of this could be incorrect, and they'll surprise us with a direct around E3 time. I have to wait and see, unfortunately, but that is me done for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, your support is highly appreciated, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.